And here I am. It is just after 5 in the morning and it's still dark. There's the moon up there. Hey, it's fun to get up in the morning. I like this time. Real nice. Hey, you know, I got all this junk here, but guess what? You don't have to worry about me. I got it under control. This wall, I can pull it out. Right there, see that window? That comes out. This part comes out. This really cool 48-inch fire door comes out. So I can get that radial drill press in there, and everything that I have will fit in here if I shove everything against the wall. That means I can't work on anything. But if worse comes to worse, I can push everything I have into this building. And if you look at my earlier videos, you can see I can move this stuff, even at this old age. Okay, let's have a look. I got a cool show and tell, and I'll go ahead and get it on a tripod over here. Well, one might ask, what does a Monarch 10ee lathe have in common with a high watt guitar amplifier? Well, I'll tell you. Vacuum tubes. And this guitar amp is just a really incredible example of vacuum tube technology. This one was made in 1972 by a fellow in England, and he wanted to build the most durable guitar amp ever, and he did. And maybe in another video or something, unrelated, I'll take this apart and show you the wiring in here that was done to British military specifications. But this amp was made famous by Pete Townsend of The Who, that would knock these things over and make a lot of noise with them, and they're just nearly indestructible. So vacuum tubes are really pretty tough. And there's some interesting things about them too, is that they're, like the guitar amp here is pretty sensitive. And, you know, real musicians, you know, not me, would be able to tell the difference in sound by the brand of vacuum tubes in it. And like this is supposed to have Mullard brand vacuum tubes, and this one does. So it's got the original stuff in it. This was found in a pawn shop in Spokane. Hey, I think I'm back here now. Kind of had a battery failure or something. But I was talking about this old guitar amp. I found it in Spokane back in the early 80s at a pawn shop, and the quality of the electronics is just outstanding. And the vacuum tubes are rugged in this thing. And the funny thing about guitar amps is they're sensitive even on what brand of tube you're using. And they have a couple adjustments, because vacuum tubes decay over a period of time, and so there's a couple of adjustments, and they're called bias, and when you change tubes and stuff, things are a little bit different. Well, you have two adjustments on the Monarch 10ee vacuum tubes, and are on the drive, and that's top speed and speed compensation. And when you change tubes, and I found, I think even diodes and stuff, or just over time the diodes in the tubes decay. And so that top speed and speed compensation will get a little bit out of adjustment. And you can observe that by using the machine and go, oh, I got to adjust that. So that's one of the things I'm going to get into and talk a little bit more about the vacuum tube drive. There's advantages and disadvantages to everything. Now, one of the things about lathes and motors and stuff like that, especially variable speed, is heat buildup, and that's what kills stuff, and that's what kills those little Mickey Mouse DC replacement drives. And we'll dive deep into this machine, and I'll point out why that stuff doesn't work. It works, but it doesn't work. Those things are meant to run conveyor belts, not to run machine tools. Okay, so, and there's a bunch of different brands, and I have a lot of experience with replacements, including the famous Sabina drive that was cost $8,000 back in the 80s, and that thing kind of creeps up every now and then, and that might be interesting to talk about. So say, well, okay, all that's fine, and what a pain in the butt dealing with vacuum tubes and diodes and stuff like that. Well, the reason I deal with that is what I need it for, and that is these bearings. This is what I do. I fit those things. Look at this. This is a really cool roller bearing. That's neat. Look at that. You want something like that to fit, but you really got to worry about alignment. See on that? Look at that white. See? Alignment. See, if you pinch that, it's not going to work. It'll burn right out. There is 6 of these in the axles. Double row annular contact bearings. And this one here is of your favorite brand new departure. But these can be found okay. And I've got 4 new old stock bearings like this. But if I'm going to replace these bearings, I want everything perfect. I don't want to get back in there and do it again. Okay? So that's why I have this equipment like this. That's the reason right there. And that's what I made money doing. And I got good doing it. So I can kind of help you along that line. It's helpful no matter what you're working on. And I'll tell you, one thing I learned, even if you're working on things that aren't very precision with ball bearings, if you treat even common ball bearings, if you're fixing something on the tractor and stuff like that, pay really close attention to the mounting and clean areas and all that kind of stuff. And do the best you can. It'll pay off in long life. So, okay, you get in the bearings, and then you get into specifications, and you should check it out, because if you got to start working in the 10,000ths of an inch, and Barden bearings makes high precision bearings. I think everything's a great line. Suggest, they in their literature that you have to at least have this and a way to set it. And they basically say 2 10,000ths is the maximum overall error in mounting bearings. Not directly, but it's in there. Where they show the gauge and stuff. They kind of go, well, I think they actually say you're supposed to be accurate in the millionths, but in practical use, there's this, right? This is practical. Okay. That's how you got to measure the holes. And to measure the shafts, you use this. The common other tools, I don't know if I got anything up there. Let me see. These Some old timers can do very good with these, and I can do pretty good with them too. And I like to use these to get to the point of using this, right? So I'll like rough measure a bore with this, then set that up. You know, it's not like you start with a dial board, you just start with the regular tools. Okay, so we're using dial snap gauges for the OD, and we're using dial bore gauges for ID. And it just totally makes sense how fast you can check a bore using them. You know, it's crazy. So there's that. That's how you measure the accuracy. Okay, to get to that accuracy, and I can reference it, and it's important that I do. And old secrets, I guess, I don't know. But there's a two-step finishing process, and you're going to have to vary it for your material and your machine. And it's laid out by Kennametal in the Romicron boring head manual. So don't whine to me about anything I say. It's in the manual. And also in that manual, if you meet all the criteria, which is extensive, even particulate matter in the air, I thought was pretty entertaining. But what you do, you know, is just try to meet every parameter there is. And what they said is the boring head system meant for high precision CNC and jig borers and jig boring centers. And they said the average operator can get plus or minus 80 millionths of an inch on a target size. The average operator. And the Monarch 10ee meets that, though it's, you know, well, it's doing both boring and turning, but there's not a lot of difference between boring and turning, except for I think turning's easier, okay? But there's also some other related problems that I've gotten into, pushover and stuff like that. There's just a lot of little things you gotta play with on your lathe that you can't program out, right? So the machine meets the requirement here. And one of the very important requirements was speed. It said the minimum was 3,000 RPMs, which I think is top speed for a hard hitch and some of these 10ee. But this one goes 4,000, so it's over that. The other one is feed, and it's really interesting with the more jig borer and some of the Monarch 10ee lathes. And my manufacturing lathe, the finest feed on it is 1,000ths, I believe. I believe it's 1,000ths. And the criteria, parameters in the Romicron instructions was less than 1,000ths. And the square dial later, 10ee goes down to 0.5 So the Monarch 10ee nails the parameters laid out in the Romicron blind head manual. And it was published on the internet one time, but I think when you type it in, you get Lady Gaga. That's kind of the way the internet is. You don't get what you want anymore, just the way it is. So you can chase that down yourself. The reason I know all that is I snagged a whole set of those heads, and the manual came with it. The funny thing about that, I think I've talked about it before, I used the set on the jig boards. Really nice. I think there's 5 heads in a suitcase. Well, I almost used the all the inserts up. I found out how much the replacements cost, and I go, oh my God, I gotta get rid of this thing. Because I got a tool and cutter grinder. So, and I didn't need that kind of a production thing, you know, like a boring headset like that. I don't know, it's over $10,000, I'm sure. I picked it up over at Hanford. It was like sitting in with a bunch of typewriters and stuff, and nobody bid on it, and I'm not going to say what I got for it. There's you find things like that, like high watt amplifiers. So, okay, we got a Monarch 10ee that meets that parameter, and the feed less than 1,000. The more jig bore, I think its finest feed was 1,500 for a number 2. But if you look at the, I believe, B18 number 3 style, they dropped it down, the feed on it, below 1,000. So there was a change there. Now, the old number 2, the old tool makers were still using high-speed steel, see? So if things, the old guy showed me about that. He goes, well, it's all in jig time, you know? He goes, those old jig borer guys, they're gonna keep that jig time going. So, maybe he was talking about they hung on the high-speed steel because it took them longer to do stuff. I don't know. But when you get into carbide and stuff like that, then you start going to that parameter of higher speed, small feed, and a high shear sharp carbide tool that's made out of tough carbide like micro 100, you know. The Kennametal inserts with that Romicron boring head held up pretty good, but man, you know, it's like, you know, maybe 4 cuts on an edge, you know, for if you're lucky. But, you know, using nailing machines is a little bit different than using CNC machines, probably a hell of a lot different, I don't know. But, okay, so, I want to get into another thing here. I gotta be careful not to make the videos too long. People have talked about here, I have this adjustable to run out chuck here. Call it chuck. Okay. I have another version here, and I made this on that Monarch 10ee. This fits the more jig bore, and it works exactly the same. I made this out of pre-hard 4140. I made this back piece, and it kind of necks down a little bit. This piece fits over it. Here's the side adjusting screws. I always use fine threads, they're stronger. Fine threads. Here's the bolts that hold that from the front. I've made a fortune using this because there's things I can do that others can't. Okay, so we'll set that aside. Easy to make. Oh, by the way, this is a Ericsson 180 collar chuck. So this is adjustable for radial run out, for axial, I scraped it, okay? Scraped the 2 pieces together to bring the axial. The radial is adjusted here. This piece goes inside this piece. It's smaller, so these adjusting screws will slip it around, okay? Then you lock it down with the front screws. Pretty cool. Well, you can take something and hold like an end mill with this, get it running absolutely true, and punch a perfect hole very easily. Just one of the things. But I usually circle grind the fluids. But if you do that, you can get super high, accurate, very small holes. Okay, I'm going to load this video, And I'm going to come back and we're going to dive into that chain and have a look at it. And you got to adjust it. And I'll talk about that. Okay.